with details on a potential debut coming up and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Talking about why Ring of Honor is his favorite pro wrestling promotion, Samoa Joe said this during a Q&A session at Terrificon 2024. I've been asked this a few times. I've had super positive experiences in every company I've worked for, so it's like I don't have probably a lot of the hardship stories a lot of other wrestlers do as far as dealing with companies, but if I had to choose, it would be ROH, mainly because I was so involved in everything there and the pressure was on us to succeed. If we didn't draw, the company was pretty much screwed. Providing an update on his health, Rey Mysterio said this about the stem cell therapy that he has undergone, writing on Instagram, "On July 17th of this year, I had the opportunity once again to enhance my body's well-being by repairing it with a good dosage of stem cell therapy with my friends REJUVESTEM in the port of Cancun. For the past couple months prior to the treatment, I had been waking up with constant pain around my knees, ankles, and shoulders. Very tight around the ankles and soreness all throughout my body, and quite honestly was mentally preparing myself for another round of stem cell therapy. Here's a quick look at what I had done on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. Stem cell IV, the Myers cocktail IV, stem cells left knee, stem cells right knee, stem cells left shoulder, stem cells right wrist, stem cells left wrist, shockwave therapy, 1 hour hyperbaric chamber. On Monday, August 19th, 32 days exactly after the treatment, was my first day waking up completely pain-free. No soreness or tightness around the ankles, and the pain on my shoulder vanished as well. My body feels incredible, and this is only the beginning stage. I know my body well and understand that it is going through the healing process as we speak. I am also aware that I have to execute my share of duties such as infrared sauna, red light therapy, cold plunge, Normatec massage/therapy, stretching/workout. REJUVESTEM is a state-of-the-art regenerative facility located in beautiful Cancun, Mexico. If you were dealing with issues such as joint pain, back and neck pain, autoimmune disease, or if you are looking to stay young and active just like me, hit up REJUVESTEM with a DM, or you can even message my guy, the one who took care of me. He is the director of strategy, David Truitt. His personal IG is at IowaHawksFan06. Good look in REJUVESTEM. Let's go. Oh, and by the way, what you see in the blue tray in the video is iodine on the cotton to sterilize the area, not blood. For information regarding the feud between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland, it was reported that during our interview with Swerve Strickland earlier this year, Swerve confirmed to Fightful that there were originally going to be more matches in their initial run. One of those was supposed to be a steel cage match late in 2023. However, after their highly touted blow-off match, it was decided that match was better to be used at a later time, and that a cage match following the Texas Death Match. Swerve also effectively revealed that Hangman Page's wife was pregnant with their second child during the feud. Earlier this year, when Fightful had reported Hangman was slated for time off due to personal, non-injury reasons, it was because Hangman had worked an extensive paternity leave into his deal. The company always knew how long he'd be out of action. Speaking about the previous plans to expand WWE for NXT Europe, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, "I just keep thinking, like, remember when they closed NXT UK? This was a couple of years ago now, and they were going to immediately reopen NXT Europe, and then they fired almost everyone. Most of the people that worked NXT UK were fired, and I thought, if you're going to do NXT Europe like you say, why are you firing people? They were under $25,000 a year contracts. It's not like they were paying giant money to these people. The cost savings were negligible. Other people were telling me they're never going to do this Europe thing. They say it because they didn't want to admit to shutting down the UK thing, because the UK thing was their original idea to offset that ITV show. I always hear, we're doing the European thing, but it's been years now, and I'm hearing less now than I heard years ago that they are." Touching on plans for him as the WWE United States Champion, LA Knight told LA Kuzari whether it needs to regain prestige or not is not for me to say. I don't know that. All I know is that now that I'm holding it, I'm going to make it the most important title that I possibly can. And if that means I've got to face somebody this week, next week, or the week after, then that's what we're going to do. I can for damn sure say that you're going to see it defended a lot more now that it's on me instead of Logan Paul, just by virtue of me being around a lot more. So whether that gives it more prestige or not, we'll see. But you can bet that it's going to be an important title for sure. Explaining why WWE star Ilya Dragunov's son has never seen him wrestle, Metro wrote that he exclusively told Metro.co.uk, "I think my family hates my wrestling style. Literally until this day, my son didn't see one match of me. He's 7 and he's going to turn 8 this year. So because I know what I do in that ring and I know how I do that, it would be a bit too much for a 7-year-old to understand. He's going to need a bit more time until we get to that point." Despite acknowledging his own style and how his family doesn't approve, Ilya confessed he doesn't let himself dwell on it in case he overthinks things in the ring. It sounds a bit ruthless, but I really can't think about that too much, because I think as more you pay attention to something, the more you create a self-proclaimed prophecy, he explained. "I just have the belief that my body is able to take what I expect from my body to take in a certain performance that I do, because if I don't do it like I do, then I have no place in this business. And I'm no business doing anything, right?" He pointed to the way his on-screen persona should carry himself, and he feels he has to hit those levels to justify his place in the business. He added, "There's a certain way to my persona to carry myself and how I compete and how I fight and how I do the things that I do. And if I can't do them that way anymore, where is the sense, right? I don't do that for just like, I don't know, fame or being like a celebrity or whatever. I just do. I do that because I can fully express myself in this business. That is my reason number one." That's not to say the Tsar, who was born in Russia but raised in Berlin from the age of 5, doesn't get scared, but he thinks that's natural for any performer in the wrestling world. "I'm generally scared a lot of times," he confessed, "but it doesn't change anything because it's up to my decisions what I want to do about it," he pondered. "Somehow my will and my passion and my bravery is always stronger than the fear that I have, and without the fear I wouldn't feel it that much, right? And this is just kind of my mentality, and I think there's a lot of things I'm really not good at, but if there's something that is my strength, it's that I can take a lot of damage, but I can also recover very well and keep going." Giving his thoughts on the match between Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker at AEW All In, commentator for the company, Jim Ross, noted on his Grilling JR podcast, "I think 17 minutes is more time than they needed to tell the story they needed to tell. Both of them have the influence of Tony Khan. Tony probably had in his head, let's go about 10 bell to bell, which would have been plenty of time. I would have signed off on that in a heartbeat. Talent negotiate for more time. They think automatically that if they have more time, their match will automatically be better, which is ridiculous. I don't know. I thought the match was too long. People had not quite yet bought into that story. Maybe another month of good TV, they would. I just don't understand the bias concept. I understand what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree. I just don't know why it's occurring." It appears a film starring WWE Hall of Famer Batista will be the sponsor of an upcoming bout, with WrestleVotes reporting that The Killer's Game, a new Lionsgate film starring Dave Batista, will be the presenting sponsor of the strap match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at this weekend's Bash at Berlin. McIntyre has a supporting role in the film, releasing on September 13th. Asked about the style of wrestling that WWE and AEW employ, New Japan's Gabe Kidd said this to Adrian Hernandez: "I couldn't give less of a to be honest. I wrestle in Japan. My business is in Japan. Why would I waste time thinking about what they're doing? I call their guys out for fun. I get drunk, hop on Twitter, and call their guys out for fun. But they're not. They're just at the back of my mind. I don't give a damn about them. What I will say is, if they ever come to Japan, I'll demolish and embarrass every single one of them. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's tag team, singles, anything. MJF, Danny Garcia, Ospreay, any of those little rats. FTR, you want to hop on a tag? Let's do it. I'm here, active, and so is Jay Lee. So are all the dogs. We're running pro wrestling right now, so stay in your own lane and stick to doing your little in-ring promos on TV." When it comes to the reactions within the promotion to Ricochet's AEW debut, Ringside News noted that, according to a report by Fightful Select, there was a lot of positive feedback surrounding Ricochet's AEW debut in the Casino Gauntlet match at the All In pay-per-view last week, as one would expect. Going over the changes set for the WWE commentary desks on Raw and SmackDown, Ringside News wrote that during the SummerSlam pre-show, it was announced that ESPN's Joe Tessitore will make his WWE commentary debut on the September 2nd edition of Monday Night Raw, with Michael Cole transitioning to Friday Night SmackDown. Corey Graves has been the play-by-play announcer on Friday Night SmackDown since February 2024, following Kevin Patrick's firing. However, Graves is now returned to his role as a color commentator, with Michael Cole taking over as the play-by-play announcer for SmackDown. This change is a part of a larger announce team shakeup. Michael Cole and Corey Graves will stay on SmackDown until the end of the year, while Joe Tessitore will be the play-by-play commentator on Monday Night Raw, with Wade Barrett as the color commentator. Another shakeup is expected in the next year when Raw moves to Netflix. At that time, Michael Cole will return to Raw and be paired with Pat McAfee. According to PW Torch, WWE wasn't dissatisfied with Graves' performance as a play-by-play commentator. Instead, WWE's head of media and production, Lee Fitting, was a strong supporter of Joe Tessitore. Fitting had been advocating for Tessitore's involvement with WWE throughout 2024. Tessitore made a strong impression at WrestleMania 40, where he came across as a knowledgeable WWE fan, leading to his hiring. Staying on the topic of Ricochet's AEW debut, former WCW president Eric Bischoff had this to say about it: "I think it was a wasted opportunity. He's a massive star, and he could be. I'll be careful with what I say, but I think right now, in this moment, there is nobody in AEW who's better than Ricochet. Maybe some are as good, but I can't think of one person who is better. I would have rather made a big deal out of him. He got lost in the shuffle. I didn't like it, but not because I didn't like what he did. It was just a wasted opportunity. What he did was fun to watch. I enjoyed watching the match. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the match, but if you're bringing somebody over from WWE, number one, and number two, somebody who's just ready to go at the top of your roster, just throwing him on a card, even as big as Wembley, isn't enough. I would have done something more. I would have done a package, a special intro at the beginning of the show, something. It wasn't a secret that he was coming over. There was a surprise, but nobody was shocked that he was in AEW. I just think that in front of 50,000 people, with everyone emotionally at a high, whether they're in Wembley or watching on television, why not make the most of it instead of just putting him in a good match?" With it reported that WWE is set to move the Performance Center from Orlando to Las Vegas, more information was given by Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio. It's true, but that's not saying we're going to drop Orlando. It might be two performance centers. It might be moving, but they're going to do something in Vegas. Almost nobody knows anything. There are people that know, but very few. Almost nobody knows. Vegas has been a big sports market, and we should be involved in that. Later in the day, I was told told we would have two. We were going to have one in Orlando and one in Las Vegas. That was the story I was told later in the day. Not an official story, but from someone there, that was the basic thing. As Bayley has been off of WWE programming following her title loss to Nia Jax at SummerSlam, this was said by Ringside News regarding her health. Despite her absence from WWE television, Bayley has been actively participating in WWE's ongoing European tour. According to Fightful Select, Bayley is fine and healthy, continuing to compete in title rematches against Nia Jax and teaming up with Naomi in tag team matches against Jax and Tiffany Stratton. As Daniel Garcia returned to AEW at All In and is seemingly set to feud with MJF, details on his return were provided, with Ringside News writing that, according to Fightful Select, Daniel Garcia was backstage throughout the entire day, wearing a mask to conceal his identity until his surprise return during the All In pay-per-view at Wembley Stadium. We also reported that Daniel Garcia's AEW contract is set to expire in October this year, and at the time of writing, Daniel Garcia is yet to sign a new deal with the company and is currently negotiating. When it comes to the possible identity of the upcoming debut set for NXT No Mercy, Brian Alvarez said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "I am presuming it's Giulia and she's going to show up on Sunday and challenge Roxanne Perez after she retains the title, but I can't tell you that for sure." Dave Meltzer added, "I thought it would be Giulia or Stephanie Vacour if Stephanie Vacour got her passport, but I presume it's Giulia too because she just left Japan and it's her time." Speaking of Japanese pro wrestling star Giulia, she said this about hoping to retain her in-ring name following her upcoming WWE debut, telling Tokyo Sports, "I don't know what will actually happen with my name, but I hope that the Giulia name will remain." With Sting making a shocking return at AEW All In following his retirement from pro wrestling, his son, Garrett Borden, talked about future appearances for the Icon, noting on a recent stream, "If you watch my dad's post-Revolution press conference, I know Tony Khan had said it would be cool to have him around a little bit more. I don't know any of my dad's plans or anything like that, but it was cool to see that happen. Even since his retirement, he's been doing Comic-Cons and that sort of thing." Revealing that there were plans to have a retirement program with AEW star MJF, Mick Foley said this at Nickel City Comic Con. "Man, when I was thinking of having that last match, I'll tell you what, when I announced that intention, there were no shortage of people from every promotion reaching out to me, and one guy I probably would have gone with because he'd clearly done something about it and lined out 6 great weeks of TV was MJF. We didn't take a photo together because we didn't want to ruin the secret meeting, but I heard what he had to say. I really liked it. I had no doubt that he would have pulled it off perfectly, and you know, he's so good and in his prime that he could have worked around my weaknesses and played to my strengths, and I think we could have done something pretty cool. MJF." Final answer. Take that, Matt Cardona. Talking about his most recent appearance on WWE programming, Arn Anderson said this on his podcast about potentially signing a deal to return to the company. "How much is it going to be for? Never say never. Get some substantial zeros on my and we'll talk." When asked if he is currently under a Legends contract with WWE, no. Explaining why Hangman Page was absent from AEW for months, Ringside News wrote that, according to Fightful Select, it has been reported that Adam Page was taking time off because his wife is pregnant with their second child. Page had included a detailed paternity leave clause in his AEW contract to allow for this break. Swerve Strickland mentioned this during an episode of AEW Dynamite. TMZ reported that the husband of WWE Hall of Famer Nikki, Bella Artemchik-Vinstev, has been arrested following a domestic violence call. It was reported that injuries were involved. The sheriff's rep claims that the victim in this case has asked for total confidentiality. Vinstev has been booked into Napa County Jail this morning on a felony domestic violence charge, according to jail records. Nikki Bella had made an Instagram post yesterday where she claimed she was in Napa as well. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.